Hello everyone, my name is Tunde Victor and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And in today's video, we are going to be doing a full retouching tutorial for this image right here. And make sure to follow me on Instagram at Tunde Victor 7. So let's get started. This image was taken by Ncourage photography. It was the one who actually taught me photography. So the first thing I'll do for this image, and by the way, I'm using Capture One to process this raw image. This is a raw file and I'm using Capture One. This is Capture One interface. The first thing I'll do for this image, I'll just crop this image. And remember, if you want to post for Instagram, the ratio you should be looking at is 4:5 right here. So if you're planning to post an image on Instagram, make sure your crop ratio is 4:5. I'll just crop this image 4:5. I'll just make sure the framing is right. I think I'm just going to crop it until I'm okay with the framing. And make sure your subject is in the middle. This is the rule of third. If you know composition theory, I'm trying to use the rule of third for this image right here. So my subject is in the middle right now, so once I'm okay with it, I'll click on enter. You can see. So next thing I'm going to do for this image, I'll come to my exposure tab right here and I'll just bring down my highlights and open up my shadows and bring down my blacks like this. Maybe bring down my white a little bit. Then I'll come to my color tab. This is my color tab right here. So this image was actually shot with a Nikon D610. So I'm just going to change the feel to make it look like it was shot with a Sony, because I really like that Sony feel. So to do that, all you have to do is come to your base characteristic right here, come to your ICC profile and just click on show all and just look for the kind of camera you want. You can change it to Canon. I also like this Canon, I think R6 Pro Standard. It makes the image look more colorful. But for this one, lately I like using the Sony A7. So I'll just come to my Sony A7 and put it on standard. Click OK. Now you can see, let's see the before and after. This is the before and after. I'll come back to my color exposure tab again, and I'll just come down and come to my levels and push my shadows in. This is my shadows slider, so I just push it in a bit to add a little bit of contrast to the image like this. And I feel the image is good. Maybe I'll reduce my highlights. I'll just take my highlight down a bit, all the way down. So I feel the image is good like this. Let me zoom in so you can see. Okay, I think that's all we are going to do in Capture One. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take this image to Photoshop. And to do that, I'll just come to my image right here and just right click. I click on edit with Adobe Photoshop. So make sure your format is on TIFF, and your bit, you can use 8-bit or 16-bit, whichever works for you. But I would advise, if you have a faster system, you should use 16-bit. So make sure your ICC profile is on Adobe 1998, and I'll just click on edit variant right here. And then once you click on edit variant, your image is going to export to Photoshop. Now that we have our image in Photoshop, the first thing I'm going to do is duplicate my layer by clicking on Ctrl J or Command J if you are using a Mac. And I'm just going to zoom in and I'm going to work on the eye bag first, because I don't like the way the eye bags are right now. So to get rid of these eye bags, I'm just going to come to my patch tool right here and just select the eye bag like this and bring it all the way down, and click on Ctrl Shift F to bring this fade opacity, and you can just reduce the opacity to about 80. Whichever number works for you, there is no perfect number. So I'll click on Ctrl D to deselect, and I'll do the same for these other eyes right here. So once I make a selection, I'll just drag it all the way down, and I can click on Ctrl Shift F, or I can come to my edit and click on fade path selection. Once I click on fade path selection, I can just reduce the opacity to about 80 as well. I click on OK and click on Ctrl D to deselect. Now let's see our before and after. This is our before and this is our after. I'm just going to explain this retouching tutorial slowly so you can understand me better, and hopefully you learn something from this video. So the next thing I'm going to do, looking at this image, I'm just going to observe my image and see which other thing I need to work on the image before I start doing my foreground separation or my dodger bump. So looking at this image, I can see a bit of hair right here. Let me show you. you can see this place, there are hairs right there, so I'm just going to get rid of those hair right there. I feel they are distorting to the image, although if you zoom out like this you're not going to see them, but me, I can see them. So I'm just going to get rid of those hair right there. And there are multiple ways you can do that. You can use your close stamp tool, or you can use your normal brush tool, but for the sake of this tutorial I'm going to be using my close stamp tool. So you know how close stamp tool work. Make sure you are on your layer, and make sure you are on your current layer, and just sample from a close by area and just brush over like that. Sample and just brush like that. As you can see, we've gotten rid of those hair right there. And I'll do the same for this one right here. I'll just sample and just brush, or I'll just pick my brush tool. The other way you can do it, you can just pick your brush tool, hold alternate to sample a color from a close by area and just brush over that place like that. So I just taught you guys two ways in which you can remove hair strands from your image. You can use the close stamp tool, or you can use your brush tool, whichever works for you, or whichever works for the kind of image you are retouching. So if you don't learn anything from this tutorial, if that's all you learned from this tutorial, I believe it's okay for me. So looking at this image again, the next thing I'm going to do right now, I feel I've done the basic adjustment. And also, a lot of people tend to remove their blemishes right after they bring their image to Photoshop, but I will not advise that, because if you do that, you are kind of working on both the colors and the texture together, and to not make your image look so good. So instead, what you should do, you should first of all separate your texture and separate your colors, and that's where focus separation comes in. So for now, I have the Retouching Academy in which I used to do my focus separation, and there are other focus separation actions out there. You can create your own focus separation, but I prefer using this Retouching Academy, because as a photographer, everything you need to retouch an image is right here in this Retouching Academy. So if you want this Retouching Academy, send me an email. I'll leave my email in the description below. Make sure to send me an email and I'll send this Retouching Academy to you, and it's free. I'm sending it for free. So I'm just going to click on my focus separation via Gaussian blur, and because this image is not headshot image and it's not a full body image, I'm just going to go with 6.4. You can use 7 if you want, you can use 5 if you want, but I want to retain more texture on this image, so I'm just going to be using 6.4. But if it's a headshot, I might use a bigger radius, like I can use 8 or 9 or 10 if the image is sharp, and if it's a full body shot, I'm going to be using 3 or 4. So I have a video on how you can know the right Gaussian blur, focus separation Gaussian blur to use, so make sure to go check out that video. I'll be leaving a link in the description below as well. So for now, I'll just click on OK, and once I click on OK, it's going to create a new group for me, and inside this group I have the high texture, I have the high texture copy, I have the eye texture, which is the same thing, and I have the corrective tone, which I'm going to be using my mixer brush on, and I have the low frequency tone. So the first thing you're going to do if you want to remove blemishes, make sure you are working on your high texture copy. That is this first one right here. If you are using the Retouching Academy focus separation and you want to remove blemishes, make sure you are working on your high texture copy. It's very important, because if you work on your corrective tone, it's not going to work. Anything you do is not going to work. So make sure you're on your high texture copy. And I'll just use my close stamp tool to remove blemishes from my image. And blemishes are just anything that distorts your image. Textures are not blemishes. Those parts right here are textures, they are not blemishes, so you don't have to get rid of them. So this one here is blemishes, so you can get rid of this one, but these ones here, they are not blemishes, they are texture, so leave them, or else your image will be flat. A lot of retouchers, that's what they do. They try to remove every bit of texture from the image. They just want the image to be smooth, and if your image is smooth, it doesn't mean it's a good image, or it doesn't make your image look good. If it's too smooth, it makes it look plastic and fake. So I'm just going to, I don't want to talk too much, so I'll just use my close stamp tool right here. I'll pick my close stamp tool, hold alternate to select from the close by area, and just paint over the blemishes hold alternate and just brush like that. So I'm going to be doing this for most part of the image, and when I'm done I'll get back to you. Okay, we are done. Now let's see our before and after. Let me zoom in. This is our before and this is after. This is our before and this is after. So I've gotten rid of the blemishes which I don't want to be in this image. And now the next thing I'm going to do is mixing the colors using my mixer brush. So to do that, I'll come back to this my frequency group which I created, and I come to my low frequency tone. And once I'm my low frequency tone, I'll pick my mixer brush. I'm using a soft hand brush and my hardness is on 0. So I'm using a soft hand brush, I'm using a clean brush. I'm on custom. My wet is on 30, my load is on 30, my mix is on 20, my flow is on 30. And I click sample all layers. So make sure you get my mixer brush settings right, or rather make sure you get your mixer brush settings right. So after picking my mixer brush and getting my mixer brush settings right, next thing I'm going to do, I'll come back to my layers and turn off this high texture copy right here. This one right here, I'll turn it off by clicking on this eye icon right here. So once I click on this eye icon, it's going to turn off and you can see the image looks kind of blurry. If I turn it on, the image looks sharp, and if I turn it off, the image looks kind of blurry. So once it's kind of blurry like this, make sure your corrective tone is selected and your mixer brush is selected as well. So just zoom in and just increase your brush according to the place you want to brush. If I want to brush on this nose right here, I'm not going to use a bigger brush like this because it's going to distort the image. So if I brush like this, you can see what's happening. Let me show you. You can see what that's done to this place. Look at the before and the after. So make sure you're using a smaller brush, a smaller place, and make sure you're using a bigger brush for a bigger place. So I'm just going to erase this. So if let's say you made a mistake, you can always erase it. That's why I like using this Retouching Academy. There are some focus separation out there. Once you made a mistake, you have to delete the focus separation and start all over again. But for this one, if you make a mistake, you can just simply pick your eraser tool and erase it. I'll go back to my mixer brush again and just let me zoom in a bit and decrease my brush size because of the area I'm working on. And don't just brush anyhow like this, or don't just brush anyhow. Just make sure you brush according to the shape of your model. So if you just brush anyhow, you are going to be brushing highlights to shadows, and that's not what we want. So I'll come back to my eraser tool again and just erase what I just did. Make sure you are brushing your highlights separately, and make sure you are brushing your shadows separately, and make sure the transition, you are making the transition smoother. So that's how you get a good image after retouching. So I'm just going to use my mixer brush on this image right now. Let me just show you a little example, then I'll skip this step. So for this part, I'm just going to increase my brush size like this and just brush according to the shape like this. Let me just create a new layer so I can show you how I brush, and I'm going to delete that layer. So let's say I create a new layer like this. I'll pick my normal brush tool and let me just increase the size. Let me just I'll change the mode to black first so I can explain something. So let's say I want to brush this part. So let's say I want to brush this place right here. I'll just pick my brush tool. I'm trying to explain how I brush. So I'll increase my brush size according to this place right here and just brush according. You can see what I'm doing. I'm brushing according to the shape like that. So that's how I brush. I just don't brush like this anyhow like this. No, I don't do that. So I brush according to the shape of my model. I'm just going to delete this tab right here and let's continue. So I'll come back to my mixer brush and start brushing. So I'm just going to follow this step, and once I'm done, I'll get back to you guys. Okay guys, I'm done using my mixer brush. So let's see our before and after. Let me just zoom in. These are before and these are after. These are before and these are after. You can see the shadows are still the same, the highlights are still the same. The image just looks okay. So let's see our overall before and after focus separation. So these are before focus separation and these are after focus separation. So the next I'm going to do, I'm going to be applying portraiture for this image. You can use portraiture or you can use skin finer for this image. I just want to enhance the image to make it look a little bit smoother. So to do that, I'll merge my corrective tone and my low focus layer together. So I just hold Ctrl and click on my low frequency layer and just click on Ctrl E to merge. So once I merge them together, I'll come to my filter, I'll come to my image unique, and I'll come to my portraiture. If you don't have this portraiture and you have skin finer, it's the same thing. So you can use portraiture or skin finer, and it's not compulsory you must use it. A lot of photographers don't use skin finer or portraiture. So I'm just going to click OK, and just going to make the image looks a little bit smoother. Just a small difference. You're going to see the difference now. You're going to see the before and after. This is the before portraiture, and this is the after portraiture. This is the before portraiture, and this is the after portraiture. You can see what that does to the image. You just make the image looks a little bit smoother. And I'm just going to reduce. You can reduce opacity if you want, but I'm just going to reduce opacity a bit because I feel it's too much. So I'll reduce the opacity to about 80. I feel 80 is okay. Good, we are good. Now, the next thing I'm going to do for this image, I'm going to be doing dodge and burn for this image. So, contouring, dodge and burn actually. So I'm just going to be burning the highlights and dodging the shadows. I'll come to my Retouching Academy again, and I'll click on dodge and burn curves. Or if you don't have the Retouching Academy, I have a video on how you can create your own dodge and burn action like this. So I'm just going to delete this visual aid right here. And once I delete that, I'll come to my dodge. I'll turn off my focus separation layer because I want to see the image the way it was looking naturally before I did my focus separation, so I know where the highlight is and where the shadows is. So now I can see my highlight and I can see my shadows. So I'll just pick my brush tool, and for my dodge, I'm just going to put a little bit of dodge, a little bit of dots on my highlights for my dodge like this. And don't worry about what I'm doing, I'm just going to smoothen it out later. Then I'll do the same thing here for my highlights like this. I'll do the same thing for this side for my highlights. I'll do the same thing here for my highlights, and I'll do the same thing here also for my highlights. So for my burn, I'll do the same thing for my burn. I just put a little bit of dots on the areas which I want to burn like this. So this is how you can do your dodge and burn. Also, you can just paint over, but I prefer this method. So I'll just do it here again, and I'll just do it here. So those places that are on black are where you are going to be dodging, and those places that are on white are the place you are going to be. So those places that are on black are the place you are going to be burning, and those places that are on white are the place you are going to be dodging. So like that. I think I'm going to dodge my lips a little, so I'll just put a little on my lips. Okay, let me see. Alright, so next thing I'm going to do, I'll double click on this my curves to bring the adjustment layer out like this, and once the properties are out, I'll come to this adjustment layer and I'll just feather it like this. Then I'll do the same for my burn. I'll feather it. So I'm just definitely bringing my feathers inside like this, and you can see the before and the after. Just a subtle difference, it don't have to be much. But if you don't want to use this method, let me show you another way you can do your dodge and burn. Let me just delete my dodge and burn layer again. So I'll come back to my Retouching Academy, click on my dodge and burn. I'll delete my visual aid and pick my normal brush tool, reduce the flow to 4 or 3%, and for the dodge, then I'll come to my dodge right here. I'll just paint like this on the dodge, paint on the highlights, paint over the highlights areas like this. Make sure your flow is on 3 or 5 maximum, and just brush on the highlights like this. And for my shadows, I'll come to my burn and just burn the shadows like that. Just burn the shadows. I'll burn the shadows area like that. So we can see our before and after now. These are before and these are after. So I just turn my frequency separation on again. So these are before and these are after. So you can see, if you feel you are not okay with it, you can continue. You can continue with dodging and burning until you are okay. But just remember, the dodge is for the highlight, while the burn are for the shadow area. So I think I'm okay with this one like this. I don't want it to be too much. I think I'm okay with it. So let's see before and after. And if you feel it's too much, you can always reduce your opacity. But I like it like this, so I'll just leave it like this. So next thing I'm going to do for this image, I'm going to be doing my eyes and teeth whitening action. And if you are familiar with my videos by now, you should know how to create eyes and teeth whitening action, because I have a video for that. I have multiple videos for that, how you can create your eyes and teeth whitening action. But still, if you want to learn how to create your eyes and teeth whitening action, I'll be leaving a video in the description below, so you go check out that video. I already created my action, so I'll just come to my eyes and teeth. And once I'm my eyes and teeth, I'll just zoom in to the eyes. I'll make sure my foreground color is on white, and I'll bring back my flow to 100 and just paint on the white part of the eyes like this. And I'll do the same for these other eyes like this. If you've learned anything from this video so far, hit on the like button, and if you are new here, hit the subscribe button so you can get more video like this in the future. And also, if you've learned anything, let me know what you learned in the comment section. After applying my eyes and teeth whitening action, I'll come to my filter, I'll come to my blur, I'll come to my Gaussian blur. So I'll just reduce the radius to about 2.8 or 3 and click OK. I feel it's too white, so I'll just come back to my layer and just reduce the opacity a little bit. So let's see our before and after. So I think it's okay like this. So next I'm going to do for this image, I'm going to be color grading this image using my LUT. So I created a color grading LUT, so which I'm going to be using for this image. And if you want that LUT, I'll be leaving the link in the description below. The LUT is for free, you're not paying for anything. Just click on the link below and download the LUT. And if you want to learn how I create that LUT, I have a color grading video about how I created that LUT, and I'm going to be leaving it at the end of this video so you can watch it. So I'll just come to my color lookup table or my adjustment layer, or I'll come to my adjustment layer and click on color lookup. So once I'm at color lookup, I'll click on load 3D LUT and just look for where my LUT is saved on my PC. And I think my LUT is saved on my desktop, so I'll come to my desktop and you can see Talent's Visual LUT. So I have these two LUTs for free. I'll be leaving the link in the description below. Make sure if you want them, if you like them, make sure you download them so you can apply them. It's easier to color grade. So I'm just going to check on this first one first and see the effects. So I'm going to load this first one. Let's see what happens. You can see this first one doesn't go well with the image at all, because it's looking black and white, and which I don't like. So I'll just come back here again, load 3D LUT, and just click on this second one and click load. And this one is looking so much better, but I still feel it's too dark. But I'm just going to reduce the opacity a bit. So I'm just going to reduce the opacity to about, let's say 52 is okay. So I'll leave it at 52. Now let's see our before. This is how it was before and after. I think I like it like this. And next I'm going to do, I'm going to add vibrance to this image. So I'll come to my vibrance here on my adjustment layer, or I'll come down here, click on adjustment and click on vibrance. So I'm just going to add a little bit of vibrance to the image like this. I think 15 is okay, before and after. Next thing I'm going to do for this image, I'm going to add a little bit of brightness to the image. So I'll come to my curves adjustment layer. This is my default right here. I'm going to click on lighter RGB. So I'll add a little bit of brightness to this image. Let's see our before and our after. But I feel it's too much, so I'm just going to reduce the opacity a bit like this. And now I want to boost these yellows on the like the costume and the smoke in the background. So to do that, I'll just come to my hue and saturation, and I can come to my yellows. I already know they are yellows, but if you're not sure of the color, just pick this hand tool right here and click on the color, and you can see it's yellow. And I'll just reduce the range because I want it to affect just the yellows. I don't want it to affect the skin tone. So I'm just going to reduce the range right here, so I'll make it affect only the yellows. And I'll just reduce the saturation, increase the saturation rather, sorry. Increase the saturation like this, and you can see the yellows are popping. And you can change the colors if you want. You can see the colors are changing, but I don't want to change the colors. I just want to make the yellows pop. I just want to increase the saturation of the yellows and make it a little bit better. So you can just play with the saturation and see what works best for you. But I think I'll be leaving this one like this. Now let's see our before and after. Now you can see the yellows are popping. So next I'm going to be doing for this image, I'm going to add sharpness to this image. So I'll come here and click on my sharpness. If you don't have this beauty retouch, send me an email, because most of the things I do on this channel is I use my retouching academy to do it. I also have a video on how to sharpen your image, just in case you don't have this beauty retouch. So just go check out my videos, and you can see everything you need retouching is basically on my channel. So just go check it out. So after sharpening this image, looking at this image, I feel it's too sharp. I'll just reduce the opacity. I'll reduce the opacity to about 30 because I don't like my image to be too sharp when I upload it. So I think I'll just reduce it to about 30 is okay. Yeah, I like it like this. And the final thing I'm going to add noise to this image, a little bit of noise. So I'll come here and add noise to my image because I like adding digital noise to my image. So I'll just reduce the opacity a bit because I don't want it to be too obvious. So the next thing I'm going to do, let me see if I add a little bit of vignette to this image, what will happen. So I'll create a new layer. I'll come to my gradient map. I come to my gradient map, which my foreground color is on black. So I'll just hold shift and just drag it down like this. Let's see what will happen. Okay, vignette, I'm not so sure. Maybe reduce the opacity a bit. No, I don't want it, so I'll delete that. I'm just going to turn off all the layers and let's just do a quick recap from where we started and where we are right now. So after bringing this image to Photoshop, I duplicated my layer by clicking on Ctrl J, and that's how we got this layer right here. And next thing I did my focus separation, and that's how the image was looking like this after focus separation, before and after. So next thing I did dodge and burn, and this is the after dodge and burn, this is the before dodge and burn. And next thing I did my eyes and teeth whitening action. This is the before, this is the after, the before and the after. So the next thing I added a color lookup table. I added the lots which you can get for free for my color grading. So this is the after. So this is the before and this is the after. So next thing I added vibrance to this image. And next thing I added a little bit of brightness with curves. You can see the before and the after. So the next thing I boost the yellows on the costume and the yellows in the background, the smoke in the background. So this is the before and this is the after. This is the before and this is the after. Then I added sharpness to my image, and then I added digital noise to my image. So basically this is how I edit my image in Photoshop. I hope you learned something from this video. If you do, please like this video so that more people can see this video, because the more you like the video, the more YouTube recommends the video. So just hit on that like button if you enjoyed this video, and if you learned anything from this video, let me know in the comment section. And if you are new here, hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any video in the future. I'll see you guys in my next video. Stay creative.